the welcome session. Let's give it a second for recording to start. So the idea behind the welcome session is just to pretty much introduce us to the hackathon and everything that we have to do this weekend. I might turn off my video at some point because it's raining here, just in case my bandwidth is a bit poor. But thank you so much for joining us, and we're very excited that you were able to join us. Some of the policy shapers team members are here. My job is pretty much to take us through the slides, and once I'm done, I'll hand over to them to introduce themselves and also talk about their expectations for the policy hackathon this weekend. We also have a few other organizing team members who will join us as well. So for those who might be knowing about us for the first time, I'm very sure that a couple of people might not have known or might not have met Policy Shapers yet. Just to let us know that Policy Shapers is a civic tech organization. We're about 3 years old. Actually, tomorrow is Policy Shapers' birthday because we were founded on the 12th of August, 2020. And Policy Shapers, the idea behind Policy Shapers is to give. Chris, can we mute? Okay, thanks. Is to give young people a voice when it comes to public policy development and ensure that young people's wishes and thoughts and ideas are part of national conversation and also part of national policy implementation. So that's basically the idea. But the coolest way to say that is that we're trying to make public policy cool for young people in Nigeria. And just in case you're wondering, why is it important that we make it cool? The first reason, and very obvious reason, is that about 62 or 63% of Nigeria's population is under 25 years. That's a huge number. That's close to 130 million people. According to the UN in 2019, if you also look at INEC's data from the elections this year, INEC said that about 71% of the voting population is between 18 and 35 years. That shows you that there's so many young people who Nigeria is basically a young country, right? And if you look at that kind of demographic, there's a need to ensure that the people within this age range sort of have their voices and wishes heard, in the national conversation. There's also data showing that 45% of Nigeria's working population, this is by the Pew Research Center, wish to leave the country within the next five years. That's very scary data because it shows that a lot of our best brains are willing to leave the country because they no longer believe in the country, or because they just feel like there's no more hope for the country. And we believe that if we're able to get people to be part of the development process, they will feel a sense of ownership. I would actually feel like they definitely should be staying as opposed to leaving the country. So that's our why. Just to talk about a couple of things we've done over the past 3 years. Even though we're a relatively new organization, we're quite busy. Most of you might know us for the Reform IELTS campaign. Even though, the British Council just announced yesterday that they're increasing the cost of the IELTS exam. But the campaign itself, we've been able to engage the UK government over the past two plus years to seek like a blanket exemption for Nigerians from this English test. And we've been able to negotiate and debate with the UK government to the point where the only data points left to facilitate that is that Nigeria hasn't had a census since 2006. And so we're waiting for an official census to be able to validate some of the data that we've sent to the UK government, showing that at least 51% of our population speaks English. And once that is done, all of the conversation around IELTS ends. But while we're even doing that, we've also been able to work with various partners to engage several universities and institutions around the world. Again, young people in those institutions have been able to lead that. Also had Dr. Moyiwa, who has been a champion for engaging universities. And currently about 32 universities have announced exemptions for Anglo-Africans. And again, this was just a policy idea we're able to drive this from policy idea to policy implementation. So that just goes to show you that it's actually really possible, to whatever idea it is your team comes up with, it's actually very possible to push that forward. And just to talk about a few more things, we've been able to host policy dialogues at the Creative Commons Global Summit, UNESCO's Open Education Resources Camp. We also participated We also participated at the MIT Policy Hackathon, the Harvard COVID-19 Policy Hackathon, and Stanford Policy Hackathon, where we emerged third. So we actually do have experience also taking part in policy hackathons, and we believe that this is a good place and a good experience for people to be able to meet other people and also have ideas. In addition to that, currently in the country, we've contributed to the review of the JAM bill. The National Assembly, we're able to work with the National Assembly on that. And we're looking forward to a situation where that eventually gets reviewed. So currently on the floor of the Assembly, and hopefully the president gets to sign that very soon, putting some key changes to the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. The policy shapers team, very diverse, quite diverse with like different experiences from several sectors, over 40 years in experience. We're working from media to development to, everything, name it, IT, etc., and our affiliations as well across like so many organizations. I think what's unique about the team is even though we don't work on policy shapers full time, because I mean we do have our 9-to-5 jobs. People are doing their PhD programs. People are working in various spaces. But we find that we're able to continue to drive this with passion, and I think that is actually that's what we want you guys to be able to push to. Building on your team from this hackathon, we hope that you guys can go on to build things, build solutions, come up with ideas, and do many more things bigger than the policy hackathon. Choice, can you mute? Sorry. Seems like you're okay. Yeah, and then do a little more things bigger than the policy hackathon, just as we've been able to do as well. So before I go straight into talking about the hack for this year, so just some feedback from last year, because at the end of this year's hack, we're going to send you a feedback form, and we take the feedback that we get from you very seriously, as you'll see from the next few slides. This was some feedback from participants last year. 63.3% said that their experience with policy shapers was very good. 30% said good. And I think the other percent said fair. I mean, there was no one that said poor, luckily. And we're hoping that the idea is to move all those that said fair last year to either good or very good this year. We also had many people saying that they're willing to recommend the policy hack to their friends. That's 96.7%. And we're hoping that many more people, after the experience this year, will be happy to do same. One of the key feedback we got last year, because we couldn't provide data bursary for people last year. So people were talking about data bursary being a challenge. Some people also talked about the fact that we had a very limited time for teams to present during the final last year. So we increased the time this year from 7 minutes to 15 minutes so that you can have time for presentation and also have time for judges to also speak to you and give you feedback. So that's some of the feedback that we've gotten or that we got last year, and we are also willing to get a bit more feedback. For those who want to see what the policy hackathon was like last year, you can go to our YouTube channel. Some people have been subscribing. Please do well to check it out. We're at Policy Shapers on YouTube. Be able to find out the videos from last year's hackathon, the final, the welcome session, etc., just to see what it was like last year. Also last year, these are the winners, defending champions. Hopefully they don't become like Arsenal and bottle their championship, but we have the Builders, Coalition for Change, and Team Harvest. Some Team Harvest members are happily introducing themselves in the group, and we hope that this year they'll be able to do great as well. And they were the proud winners from last year. Also building from last year, we also had the winners, some of the winners, and of course some participants take part in a couple of our policy banter conversations. Not as much as we wanted to go, because the election season got really like heated, and many things got politicized, right? So we decided to tread with caution, and we hope that this year we'll be able to have a bit more conversations, policy dialogues, and actually move things forward with the winners and also with other groups that come up with ideas from the respective tracks. So that's the feedback from last year and some of the things we did last year. So just to talk about some of the ideas for this year and the rules and some of the plans that we have, and some important information that you should note as you go ahead writing your policy brief. So first, just to understand why we're doing Naija Policy Hackathon. The central idea for us is that we're trying to build a movement of policy ideas. You agree with me that there's so many coups currently across the Western African region, and democracy on the African continent generally seems to be suffering a lot of setback, right? And we think that that is mostly because democracy in Africa, in Nigeria, but also in Africa broadly, most parts of Africa broadly, have not been driven by ideas. And democracy is often about the people. It's often about the people who have the ideas. It's often about solutions, for the general public, for the larger mass. And because it's yet to deliver that, we actually do think that policy shapers, that young people can be the generators of these ideas. And being the majority of the population, we actually have a responsibility to drive our country in the direction that we need it to go, and to be able to take Nigeria to wherever we dream, and wherever it is we feel like we want to jackpot to, we can make our country as good as that. And so that's summary. I mean, there's a written narrative, but that's in summary is the vision behind this event, this politicization event. And we hope that, and we're happy you're joining us. We hope that you can continue to join us, even for next year and subsequent years, and that we can continue to influence other people to begin to think and appreciate ideas, because ideas rule the world, definitely. And ideas definitely is the reason why, despite the fact that Nigeria and the UAE has drilled oil for 50 years each, the UAE looks like heaven and we look like something else. It's ideas. They've been able to put ideas out there and ensure that ideas are implemented much more than anything else. So that's just the central idea behind Naija Policy Hack. So we also do not think of the hackathon as a single event, because of course there's the hackathon weekend. But for those of you who were part of the community and also joined some of the conversations we had earlier, we also had something called Policy Saturday. Policy Saturday classes are like, say like a literacy class on public policy. And we were able to teach like various aspects of how to write policy briefs and recommendations. We started last year, and we touched on a few more topics this year as well in July. So that's something that you'll be able to use as part of your ways to prepare. I'll talk about that shortly. Prepare for writing your policy brief. Speaking. Okay, and then all of those classes then build into the hackathon, because it prepares you for the hackathon. And we believe that the ideas from the hackathon during this weekend will then be refined, shaped up, and then will then lead to conversations. We'll be able to have, there's a series we call on Twitter, called on X, called Policy Banter. And we hope that young people will be able to banter, but not just banter because of political parties, but banter because of issues and ideas, and talk about the actual issues that should be done, things that should be done to change the country, right? So that's what we hope that's the hackathon then leads to. Then the conversations will then lead to advocacy engagements, advocacy campaigns. I mean, e.g. like the Reform IOS campaign, there is need for those kind of campaigns within the country. We can then work with the various winning teams and also other teams that show interest, to be able to lead their idea from just dialogue to also advocacy. And all of this, of course, is built upon our community. And these LIDAC, this is literacy, ideation, dialogue, and advocacy and community, are the 5 pillars of policy shapers. And that's how we think about the hackathon, beyond just being a one-off, one-time event. We also have a roadmap for how far we want this to go. Last year, we had the first Naija Policy Hackathon. This is the second Naija Policy Hackathon. Next year, we do plan to have a third Naija Policy Hackathon. However, we are exploring if there'll be chances to do like franchise editions at universities, have some physical editions, and also maybe have also like a normal virtual one that we do every August. And by the end of 2024, beginning of 2025, we hope we can do like a West Africa policy hack as well, where we'll be able to get a bit more universities, a bit more young people across a bit more West African countries to begin to also join and have a more regional-wide ECOWAS edition, and hope that young people's ideas can also be the reason for the new political awakening beyond just like coups and all those military guns and bullets everywhere. We hope the ideas can actually be what lead us to the West Africa of our dreams. So, so this is our roadmap. I mean, it's something that we're still shaping up, and we think that the feedback we get from you from this edition would lead and help us to guide, into that future that we want to see for what the policy hackathon would look like. I mean, I won't spend much time here, but just demographics for the hack this year. We have a lot of people, about 41% of people from the southwest of Nigeria. This is not uncommon. I've been on so many programs. People from the southwest of Nigeria are very open to like academic and, intellectual programs. And so I continue to applaud all of those young people that are coming from there. We hope that young people from other parts of the country as well would do well to apply for all of this kind of programs. We also have a lot of people from the North Central and the South and the Southeast, Southwest being 41.5%. We also saw that based on the age range, people aged 21 to 25 are the most at the hack, which is great because you want youth. But we also saw that about 10% of people who applied for the program are between 15 and 20, which is also really great because that's also the future of the country. People within the teenage age, that is, if you can catch them early, catch them young, they begin to grow all of that conversation. So that's something that we're seeing as based on demographics. We also saw that tech and AI seems to be the leading track. Most people wanting to work within this track, which is not bad because we're living in tech generation, etc. Not a bad time, but we also saw that there are other tracks as well that have gotten quite a bit of registrations: agriculture and food security, this Climate Change Act, the Nigerian Student Loan Program, as well as taxation and internal revenue generation. So these are some of the demographics that we saw from the registration. Just to give you a summary of the schedule for this weekend. So we're currently having the welcome session, and that's the only session for today on Zoom. Tomorrow we have 3 sessions. One at 10 a.m. That's our keynote address by Ndidi Okonkwo-Winali. She'll be speaking about people-centered policies and just how all of those kind of things can lead to national development. We have another session in the afternoon at 3 p.m. and the final session for Saturday is at 6 p.m. And then we have only one session on Sunday, and that's the final session by 5 p.m. So these are just the only sessions where we need to come back together as a plenary. Although we have 2 optional sessions, they're called mentor office hours. These are optional, it's not for, if you love to take advantage of it, do well to join. But you have some policy experts, of course, who currently work in the field, from our organizing team, from the policy shapers team, who would be available in case you have like questions on your policy brief, you want ideas, not ideas because that would be cheating, but like you want clarification on how to move your policy brief along, they will be available to help you do that. But please do well to study the schedule. The links are there to the schedule. They join here and everything, all of those links are there, so you'll be able to join them. But we want for you to have as much time with your team to be able to work on these policy ideas. If this is the only weekend where you don't sleep, throughout the I would say take good advantage of this weekend and spend your energy and your time investing yourself into making sure that you're bringing solutions to this so many issues that we talk about in the country. So that's a summary of the schedule for you to look at. For the speakers, I'd already spoken about Madam Ndidi Okonkwo-Winali, who is the co-founder and chair of Sahel Consulting. She's also the founder of so many things. She's founder of Ace Foods, I think, and also the founder of Leap Africa. She's co-founder of so many things. African chain makers, etc. So I think that, that's a session that you definitely don't want to miss. There are very few people who have the kind of experience that she has working with like young people and working in public policy across agriculture, food security, youth development, etc. So I think that's something you will definitely want to join. Dr. Peter Ojo as well has over 27 years of experience. He's the founder of Letter to Aso Rock. It's a new civic platform that he founded to see how to lead citizens' voices to Aso Rock. And he's trying to find ways to ensure that citizens' voices are part of governance. That's something that's something that he'll be speaking a bit more about tomorrow. And also tomorrow evening, we're going to have Mr. Oteheri. Those of you who might know Other Paper does great work in connecting citizens to the legislature. And finding ways to set the agenda for the legislature through media, civic engagements, etc. So I think he'll speak a bit more about that. This particular session is more about what are the next steps you can take. If you have a policy idea, how do you directly engage government, engage legislators, engage your senators, your House of Reps, people on how to go about it. Can we mute, please? I don't know what people are. Please, can you mute? Okay. All right. Thanks. Okay, so those are the three speakers. Last year we had 4 speakers, but we got the feedback last year that there were too many sessions. So we cut it down to 3, and we think that 3 is a great number to ensure that we're also not just hacking and learning, but we're also not just hacking and collaborating, but we're also learning and listening to those who have gone before us to do great things in order to prepare us for our own work. We also have quite a number of judges. We have 5 judges, also the same number we had last year. Mr. Oluwatobi is returning this year as the chief judge. We're having people from several organizations who will be speaking. I mean, one of the most important people I feel on the jury is Dr. Aziza, who is the Speaker of the Nigerian Youth Parliament. I think that it will be great to have her here because she's the voice of, our voice pretty much at the legislature. And this is a program. The Nigerian Youth Parliament is a program by the Ministry of Youth, the Federal Ministry of Youth. So I think that that's a good person to listen. So she should listen to our ideas and hear the things that we're going to do, and find ways to advocate for us also at the legislature. And we think that that's why it's great to have it. But we also have Hassana, who has done great work. For those who will be pitching and writing policy briefs around climate change, Hassana is here, Amara is here, Bella has done a lot of work as well, engaging young people. She was one of the leaders of the Not Too Young to Run movement as well. And of course, Oluwatobi, if you guys know, Budget, Civic Hive, all of the civic tech and civic space work that he's done over the years. So you get to know them more as the hours go by. We'll send across their bios, but they'll be the ones judging the final presentations on Sunday evening. These are the 5 tracks. You already know them, I assume. The Nigerian Student Loan Program, Agriculture and Food Security, Taxation and Internal Revenue Generation, Tech, AI, and the Nigerian Startup Act, and the Climate Change Act. You'll notice that there are quite a number of acts in these tracks, and that's because usually what happens is, we applaud when bills become acts, but everything usually ends when it becomes acts. Nobody follows up with the right policies that are needed to support the act. Every conversation usually just ends when they say the president signs this bill into acts, and everything ends there. So we believe that, through this conversation and through the hackathon, we can highlight the key issues within these respective acts and find ways to write policy ideas that can support these acts and advocate for these ideas to be implemented. This is our prize for this year. Last year we had about 180,000 naira in cash prize. Now it looks ridiculous because we have a higher prize now. I'm sure by next year we'll also, this current prize will also look ridiculous to us. But beyond the cash prizes, we actually think that the biggest benefit from this will be that you'll be able to sharpen your skills, whether it means in writing or critical thinking. You'll be able to work with team members. For those of us who are in the suggested groupings, working with team members who you don't have any clue that they even exist, but because of the hackathon, you've met them, you've been able to exchange ideas and build your network. And we think that is something that you cannot quantify with cash, right? But however, as a team, we continue to make efforts to ensure that we increase the cash prizes. I mean, for subsequent years, this will definitely continue to go higher as we continue to engage more donors and investors to the work that we do. Because we actually believe that one of the ways to raise the new role models, the reason why people feel like Yahoo or internet fraud is the way to go is because they feel like that's what brings money, right? And we think that one of the ways to ensure that you inspire people to think is to pay people for thinking, you understand? So that's something that's passionate, for all of us on the team. And we actually will continue to work very hard to see how to ensure that we increase these prizes along the way as we go. So this is the final section on just giving you a guide for writing your policy memo. Then we'll take a few questions. It's currently 6:29. Take a few questions. Anybody who has questions, and feel free to just raise your hand and unmute, and we'll have to take those questions. Then we'll take introductions from the team members and organizing team members before we call it a day. So just to prepare, in preparing for writing your policy memo this weekend, one of the things we advise you to do is to go through the policy Saturday classes. We've done these classes over the past 2 years now, 8 episodes. They cover so many areas, and they've been facilitated by young people like me and you who work with the NESG and work with, all of these big policy organizations across the country. The areas like how to write policy briefs, how to develop policy recommendations, research for policy writing, how to write op-eds, team building strategies, so like so many of these things. And we think that if you go on our YouTube channel, subscribe to us, you'll be able to find all of this information useful. Even before you begin to write down your policy ideas, I think that this is a good place to start. The second thing you should do is to study the tip sheet. So I'll do a quick demonstration of a quick demo of the media center just after this. But I think that the tip sheet is a good place to look at what are the, how should your policy brief be framed, pretty much, right? So on the tip sheets, we talk about so many things like, what's the background to this particular issue? What are the guiding questions that you should think about? Each track has 3 guiding questions. And we also then provide like a further reading. So if you want to read more about a particular issue, we provided that as well with some links to those sources. So for example, if you can see my screen, if you see where the cursor is, so this top is the background. Then under the Nigerian Student Loan Program, the guiding questions are, given that the loan will be interest-free, how can we ensure that the scheme will be sustainably funded from administration to administration for the foreseeable future? That's on the student loan program, obviously. The second guiding question is, the proposed education fund will be housed within the CBN. How can we ensure that it will not be grabbed by politicians for their gain? And how can the program remain autonomous in its service delivery? The third and the final guiding question, how can the eligibility and application criteria be streamlined to ensure that the people who need the loan the most get it? You remember that when the loan was announced, people complained a lot about the eligibility criteria, get 10 lawyers or something like that. There's some ridiculous thing, get a civil servant, etc. So we want your team, if you're on this track, to think of ways to make this easier, but not too easy that it becomes fraudulent, So find a way that it should be, what would be the best criteria for a young person to be able to, especially when someone who needs this most, to be able to access this particular loan. And that's the same thing for all of the other tracks. So do well to check out the tip sheet before you start writing, so that you're responding to the questions that come, from these tips, as opposed to just writing broadly, because there's so many angles to addressing a singular issue. It's best that you actually address it from this angle, because we try to cover as many angles as possible from the tip sheet. So that's something you should do. There's also the policy memo template. So this is what you write your policy idea inside, right? So the policy memo template, this is refined from years and years of taking part in several policy hackathons. It just has 4 sections. Apart from the heading, the toe is like, who are you writing to from, is like your team names, so you can either put your team name, or even best put your team member names and then just put your team name in brackets. After that, put the dates, put the subject of the policy memo. What's the idea of the policy memo? Is it like, integrate steps for education, loans or something like that? Think of a very good title. And then your executive summary should be between 50 and 150 words. So that just captures at the goal all of the things you want to say. What's your solution? What's your recommendation? What's your next step, right? The background or context then just gives, like, if someone wants to then read more, wants to know more about this issue, why is it important? Are you citing a particular case study from the US, for example? The US has a student loan program that is becoming a problem. So how do we ensure that our own student loan program doesn't become a problem for other people because of like low availability of jobs and all of those kind of issues? Then your recommendations, straight to the point. What are you recommending? And then your urgency statement. Why is this key? Why should this be done now? Keep it at 1,000 words. Last year, many people said they want us to increase the number of words, but the reason why we're trying to keep the discipline of 1,000 words is because policymakers do not have time, often do not have time. And if you want to be able to reach a policymaker with an idea very quick, you need to be able to say it with the least number of words and say the most things, as much as possible. So be able to find ways to use data, use infographics, to be able to show your findings. Try to use other means to show your findings as opposed to just using words alone, and use your words maximally. Be able to find the best ways to use your words. Use data as well. Be able to, data in policy is not even negotiable. There's a policy Saturday class on research for policy writing. You check that out, so you see that that's a key part of your writing your policy memo. We added a sample policy memo to the Padlets, which I'm going to show you shortly. That memo is from, I think that's from like our first policy hackathon, we were able to do some bit of research and, just during the hackathon time, right? Just, I think the 36 or 48 hours, able to do the research, sharing a Google form link across Facebook groups and getting data and, writing that policy memo. So that sample just shows you, I mean, that's not what you should write. Make yours better than that. That was our first ever policy memo. So do well that yours is better, but gives you a guide of how a policy memo looks within the 1,000 words. And then, yeah, I mean, this is just an advice, especially for just if you feel like your idea is really good, feel like you're going to get to the final. Our advice to you is that you should be able to design, while someone is working on the policy brief and putting that together, someone should just be putting together like a small, maybe like a 5-slide deck, where you're just putting your policy ideas in the presentation slide, because submission for policy brief will be by 2 p.m. on Sunday. That's the deadline. It's a hard and fast deadline because this is a competition, right? We also, even though we feel this is a chance to learn and grow, we also are not just trying to like baby everybody. So we know that this is a competition, and 2 p.m. on Sunday is the hard and fast deadline. I'm saying this over and again because last year, some people said they had to go to church. I mean, go for first service, watch online or something, right? Or go early and come back early, but make sure that you don't have any excuse, and share responsibilities across your team as well. So if someone is not there, somebody else can fill in for them. And just remember that it's 2 p.m. on Sunday, because we need enough time to be able to review the policy memos and also announce the 5 finalists, which will be announced at 4 p.m. Still on Sunday. And then the finale starts by 5 p.m. So this is why we're saying, while you're working on your policy brief, also just work on this thing by the side, work on your presentation by the side, just in case you make it to the final, so that you should be able to use that to be able to, because you just have 1 hour between the announcement and the final to be able to present your ideas to the judges. This is the finals, I think, yeah. So just as a reminder, we currently have 36 teams registered. We would only give certificates of participation to those that are registered as part of teams, because you need a team to be able to participate in the hackathon. So do well to, for those who haven't been able to work around their team, do well to either use the WhatsApp group to find team members. If you also have team members that, if you're able to find people that are not within the WhatsApp group, or even those that are not on your suggested groupings, bring them into the WhatsApp group and register them as team members as well as the participants, ask the admins rather for the link, and they'll be able to do that. Because that's the only way we know who is part of this hack for this year. Even though we have the general registration list, we're working with the team registrations as participants. Also, we announced earlier that 15 teams, based on the first come basis, will be eligible for data bursary, and that will be announced soon. So that's something that you should know. That will be announced by 2 p.m. on Saturday, and I think by 4 p.m. we should be able to give out all of the bursaries for the teams. It's not to individuals, but just to teams, just to support your research work and your data time online. And those who are already registered have already filled in their application for the bursary. So I'm done yamming and yapping about everything. Sure, you're tired of hearing my voice, but I will just show you a quick demonstration of, give me a sec. Can you guys still see my screen?
Very well.
Yes, we can.
Yes. See my screen? Okay. Okay, thanks. So just to show you what the Padlet is like, because every information from the hackathon will be put here, and then I'll hand over to the team members to give their introductions. So this is the schedule. Everything on the Padlet is clickable. So if you click on the schedule, for example, it opens up the schedule for you. I mean, give it a few seconds to finish loading. Once it finishes loading, you see the schedule. We also added links to the various sessions on the schedule, so that just in case you want to go through the schedule, you can click on the links from the schedule. I think my internet is a bit slow, that's why it's taking a while to load like this. But yeah, you can click on the links from the schedule and it takes you straight to Zoom, and you should be able to join all of those sessions. And another thing about the schedule as well is that between the keynote address and the afternoon session, there's a lot of time. I think there's like 11 to like 3 or 4, something like that. So just do well. The point is, do well to study the schedule. I think that's the summary of the whole conversation. Study the schedule so that you don't miss out on any of the sessions. I've already given us a summary of those sessions earlier, and I think studying the schedule will be able to help us do that. Also on the Padlet, I mean, as a second option, we also have links. So you can also join the sessions through clicking on these links. The various sessions, they are all linked here. The judges, if you want to know them, are all here. The policy memo template is here. This is in Word form, so you can download it and edit it. This sample policy memo is in PDF, so you can also view this, want to see what we wrote. I mean, like I said, it doesn't have to be just like this. Make yours better, obviously, but this gives you a guide. As you keep scrolling to the right, this is the tip sheet. This is the tracks, the 5 hackathon tracks. We also went through the pains to link the videos for each Policy Saturday class, along with the slides. So all of the videos and all of the slides are linked here. Just click on them and they're definitely going to take you there. Just to click, whatever episode you want to watch, research, team building, etc. All of those are there. For those who might have a couple of questions, we created some FAQs earlier. I mean, of course, if you have questions, you can ask them in the group or ask to any of us who are the admins. But yeah, these FAQs might answer some of the questions that you might have as well. You also will see some posters that you can share on social media. Please do well to share these on social media as much as possible. Let's get people to know what we're doing. We have some Zoom backgrounds. So for those who will like present on behalf of their teams or want to ask questions to the speakers and you want to add like a cool background, you know, we have some Zoom backgrounds you can download and use. We also created like a Spotify playlist, which we've been talking about for a long time, you know. So every 10 minutes before each session, we're playing some music, because I mean, this is a youth thing. Policy doesn't have to be boring, right? So we're playing some music before then. If you want to play this at your own time, feel free to check it out here. These are some media coverage of the Policy Hackathon. If you want to share links, in case anyone asks you about the hackathon and wants to know more, the press release has been published by 5 platforms now, so do well to share that. And finally, the session from last year is also available, like I said, on YouTube. So if you click here, it takes you to the sessions from last year if you want to watch and see what it was like. So ladies and gents, that is in essence the introduction as per the slide deck. However, the session is now open for those who might have questions or comments. For those who might have questions or comments or anything, before I then throw it to the Policy Shapers team to say one or two things. I mean, introduce themselves and all that. So does everyone have a question? Is everything clear? I'll be proud if everything is clear, because that's like perfect communication, right? Is everything clear? Do you have any question or anything? Let me check out the chat. Yes, so Tolu is asking if there's a template for presentation. So Tolu, we don't really have a template. Feel free to be creative and walk around whatever template is that you care. Just keep it short, because you have 10 minutes to present. If you make it to the final, you have 10 minutes to present and you have 5 minutes for feedback from the judges. So keep it short. Just make sure that it's creative enough, shows your data, shows your recommendations and all that. So there's no particular template. Feel free to be creative. That's the same question as well that Oteheri has. Okay, so I can see 2 hands, Vali and Olaide. Let's start with you, Vali.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Vali Lili Obo. I am going to ask a question for the teams because I saw it in the newsletter that was sent. So I thought the submission was going to close before the welcome event. So my question is, if you have already submitted a team, can you edit it to add a few more team members? Because my team was not, I worked with the original group that was sent on the tracks. So can I edit it to add a few more team members to complete my group?
That's a good question. So Vali, you might have to communicate with any of us admins to let us know. So what we can do is delete your previous team registration, and then you register again. I think that's what's going to work, as opposed to editing. I'm not sure we be put in the function to be able to edit it. So just communicate with any of us, and we'll be able to work around that. Yeah. And then also note that I think the max. Yeah, the max should be 6. I don't think it should be more than 6 in a group, because I mean, just like even school projects, once you're more than like 6, everything becomes, a few people do all of the work and other people just look around. So I think that keeping it at between 3 and 5, latest max 6, at least that shows that you have people that are able to do different things as part of your team. Yeah. So let's not be more than 6, please. Olaide, go on. You can see that.
Yeah, thank you very much for putting this together. I hope I'm audible.
Yes,
Can
we
you
can
hear
hear
me?
you loud.
Yeah. My
Yes.
question is a bit close. I think I will have to reach out. What I observe is that I wouldn't know. It's like my team member are too busy, and then I will have to. I've actually dropped in the group chat for people that are looking to join team. So they should reach out. I will see copy the stuff on the WhatsApp group, and then that will be need to re-add to add 1 or 2 people to the existing group so that you can get to work between now and tomorrow, because the time is just short. Thank you.
Yeah, so it feels like your question is similar to what Valley asked, right? About adding some more people to your team. But have you registered already? Have you registered the people that you have currently?
Yes, I have.
Because okay, you have. Okay, if you've registered them, just let us know so we delete the previous one, and then you should be able to then add the new ones. Because we've also just started to review some of the applications too. So that's something you might also want to note. And then make sure that you've had everybody before you register. Don't ensure that you have your team set, everything is set before you then go on to register. Yeah. So that you don't have to register multiple times.
But yeah, to add to that.
Okay.
Okay, Kenny,
to add
go on.
That, even, yeah, my name is Ken, everyone here. I think some of the question he has is more tied to, like, in the case where some of the team members are assigned to you are a bit redundant, or they are not working, they are not, like, they are not doing anything. And that can be tricky, right? Because it depends on the number of people that, let's say you have a team of 5 persons and 3 of them are active and 2 other persons is not active. Is that substantial enough to dissolve the team? Technically, the 5 of them should be active, but it brings a question of, like, where did the other thing you want to go? In that instance, if you have additional 2 persons you can add, then you can communicate with us. We can make editing that, okay, these people are not participating, and we can add 2 more people. But it will be difficult for you to call other team members to come and join you, or you wanting to join that team members. So, except all the 4 of them are not working with you, then we can then say, okay, you want to join another good person. But if you have like a column of 3 persons working fine, then, like, then maybe you can look at adding 1 or 2 more persons that may not have initially registered and you may think are interested, and we can work with you as a team to add those steps.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kenny.
I think that takes care of my question. I will reach out to you, then you help us to edit at the background, because just to make sure that we have that quorum of 5. Those are not participating. Then we can. I think the editing will be the idea, the approach for suggestion, as we said. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Olaide. I can see a few questions in the chat. Let me just take that quickly before.
Yeah, I wanted to take them.
Okay, Comfy, go on.
Good evening, everyone. Excited to be here, and I wish you all the best as you get ready to hack this. So I see a couple of questions around, and they're very, very similar, around having the data and diagram be in an annex. The answer is no, and this is why. No, because the data you're collecting is supposed to form the basis, right, for your policy idea. And then secondly, the theory of change talks about what your expected outcome would be, like, why are you doing this? And if you do this, what will happen? So it shouldn't be an annex. It should be part of your idea. It should form part of your policy memo. I also see another question around, I think the question on my team from the registration form didn't show up in the team register. I think Eben will attend to that. Then there's another question around if we want to include, okay, the same question actually. So I think I've answered the theory of change question, but if you have any other specific question around theory of change, you can still drop it in the chat or drop it on the platform, the WhatsApp platform. I will respond to that. Then
thank you. Thank you, Comfy. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see questions around. So just to let you guys know that we put in the title suggested team pairings or team groupings, because those are people that said they didn't have team members. Remember in the registration form, we asked you if you have a team already, and if you do have a team, list those team members. And there are people who said they did not have team members, and so we're able to then suggest, Kenny and the team members were able to do some work and suggest pair you based on your interest and track interests and all of that. So the Excel sheet is just for those that do not have team members. So if you already have a team, you're not going to be on the Excel sheet. You're only just going to use those team members that you have to register through the team registration form. We're going to share that again on WhatsApp and also via email for those that missed the form when we shared it earlier. So that responds to that. However, the idea is we've paired you already, right? So we've suggested that you should work with these people. Somebody needs to take the lead, right? And someone needs to be a leader and say, okay, can I bring these people together, ask questions, do you want to work with me to see? So we believe that that's where you begin to also build your network and your relational skills. And if you engage them and they're not forthcoming, put yourself in a group and try to find a new team. We're sure you definitely find 2 or 3 other people who are within your track. That's the idea of the WhatsApp group, to help, make things faster, and you'll be able to then connect and form those new teams. Yeah. So that's the idea behind all of that, things around suggested pairings and teams. Do we have to answer the questions in each sheet? Do you have to answer questions in tip sheets? Sorry, Kenny, I'll come to you guys shortly. Do you have to answer questions in tip sheet? Well, yes, we're saying that the 3 suggested questions are like your guiding questions. However, if you feel like there's still more areas to cover with your policy brief, which we doubt you can do within 1,000 words, but if you feel like, if you feel like Einstein and you figure out a way to do that, which we haven't done yet, we'll be happy to see that. But those 3 questions, we think by the time you answer those 3 questions, you should have hit your 1,000 words limits as well.
I see another question here that says the final presentation, is it all team members or representative of the team? So whatever works best, but then it'd be great to demonstrate teamwork wherein you divide each of the section and then you present. But however, in order to manage time, and if you know that you have someone who has that presentation skill amongst your team, you can go ahead and delegate that person to present on your behalf, because not everyone can do well. It's not everyone that can do it when it comes to presentation. Thank you.
Okay. So Kenny, I'll hand over to you so you can take it away. So you guys, you've been hearing me say Kenny, Comfy, all of these names. I feel like you need to meet them. So these are the Policy Shapers team members that you saw wonderfully on the slides earlier. They have worked tirelessly to put this, events together. We did last year, we're doing it again this year. We're all happy that you guys are able to join us. So over to you, Kenny. So we'll just go Kenny, Comfy, Terry, and all the other team members and organizing team members are here. Can go on to introduce themselves. Over to you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eben, for the fantastic welcome. I think it was very clear. My name is Kenny. I'm Kehinde Adebiyi, and I'm currently a PhD candidate at Indiana University in the United States. My interest in policy started when we did our first policy hackathon with Stanford, and that was the template you guys have. I think it was a fantastic session. And I'd like to say that I also didn't necessarily have a team. The first time I worked with, I've been working with Eben for a while, but with Comfy and the others was when we participated in that. So the first thing I would say is open your mind. And the second thing is that don't be visited on your idea. So you've been thinking about this hackathon for a while, about this particular problem, but you don't want to work with a team and want to land your own idea on them. Be open to even iterate. There are even times that even what you think you want to suggest may not be what the team will go with. Often, spoken with everyone. So be ready to learn. But 2 key things I would say before I hand it over to other team members is that the hackathon is for 2 basic things. I think it's more interesting for me. What gives me joy is, and also as a PhD scholar, is that the ability to learn and also impart. I think having both of them happening at the same time is very rare, but also is an exceptional part of this program. So I would say that not only are you learning the process of hacking and also doing policy papers, but also your policy have a long-term impact. It will be published online. People can cite it for research studies. You see some of the judges are even having influence in representing legislation, all of those things. And there's a potential impact that could strike up based on the fact that you are doing this. So we wish you all the very best, the best of luck. As Eben pointed out, we have office hours, why some of them will be there to assist you. Those are the designated time, but feel free to reach out to us anytime. While we may not guarantee we reply immediately, we try our best to do that. But we will always be there during the office hours session, and you can always ask any questions. Wish you guys all the best, and yes, have fun. as Eben said also, like, it's okay to lose sleep. I think myself, even and the other didn't sleep for those 3 days. I think it's a lot of work to be done for these 2 days. But yeah, wishing you guys are the very best.
Thank you so much, Ken. Over to you, Comfy.
Hello, sir. Good evening. Once again. Someone trying.
Okay. Mudashiru, you're trying to speak. Can you wait? Let's just finish introductions and we'll take one last question before we leave. Because
I want to ask a question.
Okay, so good evening.
Go
Good evening once again. My name is Comfort Onyaga. I am a founding team member of the Policy Shapers. I'm excited to be here. I'm so sorry that I can't turn on my camera right now, so you're not able to see my face because I am on my way from the field. But however, I'm really happy that to see a lot of young people, signing up or registering to participate in our second edition of the Policy Hackathon. So far, so good. It's been an interesting journey working with the team to put this together. Just to give you a quick background, I am a graduate of political science, currently doing an MBA with a specialization in sustainability. I also run a non-profit organization. We focus on livelihood and we do a lot of policy advocacy aside from the policy advocacy work that we do at the Policy Shapers. I have a startup as well. So for me as a person, I believe that each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover their mission, fulfill it or betray it. This is one quote that I love to say anywhere, wherever I find myself, and especially amongst young people. And the quote is by Franz Fanon. I love the fact that a lot of young people will be gathering this weekend, just like we did, myself, Ebenezar, Terry, Kenny, Chimdi, and sorry, I forgot Toby, Toby. I'm always missing, Toby's name. Yeah, so we did same. So it is an experience actually worth having. Like, I tell you the truth, by the time you're done with this, trust me, we're not putting you under pressure to start another Policy Shapers, but trust me, there is going to be that sense of fulfillment for you to have like contributed to nation building, because you're a generation that have identified a problem that you want to solve through this Policy Hackathon. So I wish you all the best. And as much as possible as team, please ensure that you work and do not leave the work to one person alone. Ask questions. We are here for you. If I'm not available to respond at the moment, the other person would be available. Also, do well to send an email. One thing I will advise is make sure you utilize the office hours that you'll be having. Ask, please, relevant question. And for the people who were asking about the data, please, the data is the basis for, it's more like a baseline information that justify why you're hacking, why you're working, that justify the solution or you're coming up with, or the policy idea. So please, as much as possible, ensure that you do a lot of fact checking. Don't just rely on secondary data only. You can also use this opportunity to collect primary data from people, depending. I mean, you can also go on LinkedIn to ask questions for people that are working within the sector that you, or the track rather, that you'll be working in. So I wish you all the best as you hack this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Comfy. Is Terry here? Over to you, Terry.
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Oteheri Akinruntan. But of course, as you've heard, Terry is also very welcome. It's always a pleasure having these kinds of conversations and these kinds of meetings, right? And to build on what my colleagues have said, I think that one of the primary things for me is the opportunity to think about something outside the usual. So this might not be your forte, it might not be your comfort zone, but trust me, you are coming up with an original idea, and that's very important. And I also want to say here that we are committed to pushing this beyond this weekend. So it's not just about this conversation this weekend, but it's really about seeing this through outside of this platform, right? It's about seeing how we can push the strong policy ideas that will come from this hackathon, push it into the actual policy space of Nigeria as a country. And we really look forward to that. The other thing I also want to touch on is don't let this weekend go by without networking. It's very critical, right? And it's one of the things that is one of the take from the policy shapers, because we all came together and began to have these conversations as frequently as we can, bounce off ideas and all that, and just still carry on with our everyday affairs. So network as much as you can here. Know that whatever it is you are presenting will be pushed beyond this weekend. So keep an open mind, and let's see how it goes. I wish everyone all the best this weekend. Thank you very much. Even.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Terry. Thanks for the wonderful introduction. Is there any other team member, organizing team member here?
Hi, everyone.
Is Toby here?
Yes.
Toby, okay, go on.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Oluwatobi. I'm also a founding team member of Policy Shapers and the Achievement Scholar also. I think one really important, a lot of founding members have said some really interesting things, which I think is very important. One, for the hackathon, and also, to what happens after the hackathon. And what I really would say is, let's see it as a teachable moment. It's just, a couple of young people coming together to see how to draw policy ideas to things. And when you see it as a teachable moment, it helps you not just do better, but also learn, because there are many other things we will do going forward after this. And I think that's one good spirit that we have always put in a lot of the things we've done that has also helped us, get or achieve really good outcome. I wish you all the best this weekend. We are also always available for you to to bounce stuff off, and I believe we would have a great weekend.
Thank you so much, Toby. Yeah, I'm sure one of the things that you might have noticed is that the team members already are working in several spaces, and I'm sure many of them are very humble people, but they're doing amazing work in several organizations. So yeah, so even beyond just the policy hack, I feel like we should all build our networks and continue to remain in touch. And that's why we asked us to share our LinkedIn earlier, because I feel that's one of the most professional places to remain in touch and continue to discuss. Yeah, because we all need each other to be able to build the country we want to see. Udashiru, are you able to speak now? I think we'll just take your question finally. It's already 2 minutes past, so we can wrap up. This is supposed to be a 1-hour session. I tried to respond to, I've tried to respond to some of the questions in the chat. So a few people might have seen my replies to your questions. But Udashiru, are you able to speak? Please go ahead.
Yes, I can. Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate this kind of program, and it is a nice program. So here is my question I want to ask. Let's just assume now the cashish and the prices that they want to give now. Like now we are 5 in numbers. So let's assume now we emerge at the first position. How is it going to be distributed? Is it going to be given to a team or as a person like that? Or how is it going to be done? That's my question, sir.
Thank you. That's a wonderful question. It's left for your team's discretion. If your team wants to donate it to charity, if your team wants to, to give it, but it will be given to the team. It will be given to the team lead. That's why we asked for the team lead. And of course, other members are going to sign on the consent form, and then the team lead then disseminates it to the rest of you. But it's something that has to be agreed on. We did it last year as well for the teams, and they were able to decide on how they want to share their prize. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, everyone. This has been a wonderful session. Let me just see if there are any more questions in the chat. All right, thanks everyone. Please let's remember to always keep ourselves on mute when we come in for sessions. We'll try to put some control to it for tomorrow's session. The next session is by 10 a.m. tomorrow. We have Madam Ndidi Okonkwo-Wuneli speaking to us. We're so lucky to be able to have her give us that 1 hour and just discuss people-centered policies. And for those who are working in the agri track, you might have some tips already because she has done so much work within agriculture and food security. So please, let's all be here at 10 a.m. Let's be here on time. 10 minutes to the time, of course, we'll be playing music as always. And yeah, so the hackathon is officially open. It was open since 12 o'clock, but it's officially open now. Let's work with our teams. It's not too early to start putting your ideas down, reading all of these things and reading your tip sheet and checking the policy Saturday classes and all of the things that you need to check. Feel free to do that. The recording from this session would also be shared with us shortly for those who want to watch it again. Abdul Razak, your question, maybe like in 10 seconds, quickly. I can see your hand. If you have any more questions, you can take it to WhatsApp.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. Good evening, everyone. I am Abdul Razak Abubakar. Sorry, I just joined the meeting 10 minutes ago. I have been trying to understand the direction of the conversation, but unfortunately I couldn't. The earlier message I received was that we are going to have a virtual session on Saturday 12th. So just for me to check my email now, and I saw another notification that broke around 5-something p.m. today for this very meeting. So if you wouldn't mind, please can somebody explain just in less than 1 minute what actually transpired so that I can be in the picture and that will help me to prepare ahead of tomorrow's event. Thank you.
Okay, because of our time, we won't be able to give you that 1 minute response. However, are you on the WhatsApp group? If you're on the WhatsApp group, I can call you on WhatsApp quickly and give you that call after this session.
Yes, yeah? I am not. I don't know whether you have a platform for this. I don't know. I'm
yes,
not
it's on WhatsApp. The platform is on WhatsApp, or just reply to any.
I'm not on the group.
Okay, sure. Reply to any of the emails that you've gotten, and then we'll be able to follow up from there. Once you just reply to the email with your number, one of us on the team is going to call you and then give you all the information. However, the recording from the session, like I said earlier, would be shared and of course shared on YouTube. So if you have any other questions, that might be able to help respond to that. Yeah. All right, guys. We're very time sensitive at Shapers. Thank you so much. 7 minutes past 7. Let's go on to work with our teams. Let's go on to do great. We wish you all the best as you hack, and may the best team win. There's really no best team because we're all best teams because we're doing a great work. But yeah, you get what I mean. May the best idea win. All right, thanks everyone. You can unmute and say bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Bye.